Hello everyone, I'm MVL and welcome to an episode of Game Hunting. I'm here at Total Replay at the start of this retro adventure, and the first thing that catches my eye whenever I'm here is this cabinet of Mega Drive and Master System games. Man, if I could, I would take all of these home with me to my game room to give them a good home, but I just love looking at this cabinet. I always see something new put in here every time I come here. As you can see, they've got more than Sega in here. There's some Nintendo there with Super Nintendo and NES games among the Mega Drive and Master System games, and some Nintendo 64 and Mega Drive loose cartridges, as well as some Nintendo GameCube, and there's some memory cards stuffed away at the bottom of the cabinet as well. And speaking of tucked away, here are some Game Gear games. There's Sonic the Hedgehog, and here's Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse. We also have The Little Mermaid, and digging a little deeper here we have Sonic Chaos. I love these protective cases for the Game Gear as well. There's Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and here's a bunch more loose cartridges, columns, The Simpsons there, a couple of sports games, and Haley Wars, which is the pick of the litter, but I already have that game. Here's a boxed PlayStation 1, and there's a grey Nintendo 64, and here's a random assortment of controllers. There's a couple of Wii consoles and Dreamcast over there, and an interesting VMU. Here's an Atari console. Underneath that is a Mega Drive and a boxed GameCube controller and GameCube console. Here's a couple of Atari 2600 games, including Space Invaders and Breakout. But they also have a bunch of modern games here from the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Although admittedly I did come here exclusively looking for Sega games, I did check out what they had. They also had some Wii here, and a lot of DS and PSP and PlayStation 1 games as well. I would say now is a really good time to go after Nintendo DS. A lot of places like Argos are clearing out their stock so you can get DS games really cheap, and there's a lot of good games in there as well. I'm looking over the PSP games here. There's a fine selection. Moving on to the PlayStation 1, there's some great games here like Time Crisis, even though that is a platinum copy, and Apocalypse over there as well. Here are some other PlayStation 1 games. A couple of these titles I'm not very familiar with, so maybe I should have digged a little deeper. I always see stuff on the video that I think, man, I should have looked at that when I was there, but I missed it. Caught myself slipping. Here's some original Xbox game. They've got Halo and Dead or Alive 3 here. There's some great titles. I love digging through stuff and looking for some great games. There's Starsky and Hutch, and there's Buffy the Vampire Slayer Chaos Bleeds as well. Inside the till area glass desk cabinet, they had some PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and a good amount of Wii U. There's Resident Evil Revelations and a couple of great titles there as well. They also had some Nintendo 3DS games, which was cool to see. But ultimately from here I ended up walking away with Batman for the Mega Drive and Thunderblade, which was only £2 but was missing the manual. My next stop was Faceless Monkey in Truro, and as you can see they've really expanded since the owner has moved into the stand next to them and really fleshed that out. They've also added this table display here with a lot of comic books as well as a couple of modern games to catch the eye on your way in. So from the original location they still have a ton of stuff in here as well. There's some great Nintendo 64 box games there, as well as Mega Drive games and Hogs of War for the PlayStation 1. As you can see, some of the more eye-catching titles are displayed more prominently, but there's also some NES games there, and there's a boxed Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and some Pokemon DSs as well. Speaking of Pokemon, there's Pokemon Moon amongst some PSP and original Xbox. There's a ton of Wii, as well as a couple of Wii U titles. There's some Nintendo GameCube and PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. There's Super Mario Deluxe on the Game Boy Color at the back there, and I'm almost certain that I did pick that up, but I didn't capture that on video. That shows you how many times I check this place out. It is very much a regular haunt of mine. Speaking of Game Boy, there's Pokemon Red in the box, some more Game Boy games here, including some more Pokemon from the Game Boy Advanced and Game Boy Color. There's some more Game Boy games on display here, which is really cool. I love checking out a bunch of different Game Boy cartridges, especially when they're loose. You can really dig through them. Here's some loose cartridges for the Super Nintendo and N64 as well. And as we move on, there are some Atari 2600 cartridges next to a purple GameCube, and there are some N64 Rumble Packs, and a Game Gear game, and a Stormtrooper mug, which is pretty cool. Here are some more PlayStation 1 games, Impossible Mission for the Game Gear, some more Mega Drive games, some loose cartridges for the Mega Drive next to Star Wars for the Super Nintendo, a Game Genie for the Mega Drive, Fallout 3 for the Xbox 360, some more Super Nintendo loose cartridges at the back there, Stunt Race for the American Super Nintendo. As you can see, the cartridges look different. Aside from that, there's also no end labels on our PAL SNES games. There's a Game Gear console there, which is really cool to see. I'm very surprised I didn't inquire or pick that up, because I play my Game Gear games currently on my Retro Freak, so I need a Game Gear console. There are some PlayStation 2 and original Xbox games, and now we're checking out the new area they've moved into. Last time you saw this on a previous game hunting episode, it was rather sparse because they just got into this location, but now they've really fleshed it out, and there's a ton of great stuff in here. It's a very impressive display, and it really does help draw your eye to the shop. Now there's a Super Nintendo console, and we have some more retro goodies. Here's an original Xbox in crystal clear, and some headphones and steering wheel accessories. There's an NES action set, which is in the box, which is awesome, a Sega Mega Drive Model 2, and a bunch of GameCube consoles. And there is a Mega Drive Model 1 with the 32X. Once again, I'm incredibly surprised I didn't inquire about the 32X, because I do not have one. And there is an NES next to a PlayStation 1 with some PlayStation 1 games next to it, which include Looney Tunes Racing, Fantastic Journey, and Everybody's Golf. Over here we have GoldenEye on the original Xbox, Lord of the Rings on the Xbox 360, and the real Ghostbusters, which is really cool to see, but I already have that on the Commodore 64. And speaking of the Commodore 64, there's some Commodore 64 cassette games here, which is awesome because this is a rare sight. There's also some Sinclair games as well. Here's some controllers, and there's a logic-free fight stick, which is awesome, and a Namco TV Games plug and play. Now, I'm not sure why I didn't inquire about that transparent red PlayStation 2 controller. That looks really awesome, but there's certainly some great controllers over here by the PlayStation consoles, and my eye is really drawn to this Namco plug and play device. That was really awesome. Here's a fight stick for the Sega Mega Drive. I actually already have that, and there's a plug and play Mega Drive device there with two controllers attached to it, and they had this RetroPie device hooked up to a monitor just next to it. Now, this isn't exactly my cup of tea, but I can certainly see the merit to something like this. I myself use a Retro Freak, which uses real cartridges for HDMI recording and streaming, and that serves me very well. Now, I just caught these Master System games as they were put out for display, which include Wonder Boy in Monsterland and Paperboy, and they also had a couple more. There's Sonic 2 for the Master System, and there was Olympic Gold, California Games, and Tasmania as well. And I also found this Game Boy multi-cart for the Game Boy, which was very interesting to say the least. So I ended up picking up the Namco TV game plug and play device, and for the Super Nintendo I grabbed Super Bomberman and Pop and Twinbee, which I've been looking for, and I also grabbed that Game Boy multi-cartridge, and for the Master System I grabbed Paperboy and Wonder Boy in Monsterland, which was really awesome. Our last stop is Acorn Records in Truro. They're back, and I'm really happy that they're back, and I'm super psyched to be game hunting in this place again. They've got some Mega Drive games here. There's Spider-Man, and I will say I found some of the coolest stuff in this place, so it was a great return to Acorn Records in Truro. There's some DS games, some original Xbox, some PlayStation 3 games, and some Xbox 360. There's a couple of Game Boy games there, and amongst them was an Amiga game which came free with a magazine called The Pushover. Now, this version came with Amiga 600 magazine and describes itself as a special game version, which is the Wild, the Weird, and the Wicked pack, and was not to be sold separately. Now, I never see this kind of thing in the wild, so this was really cool, and it was definitely coming home with me. Here's some PlayStation 1 games, and there's some PlayStation 3 games at the end there. In the front desk glass cabinet, there are some Game Boy Advanced and Game Boy games, as well as some DS games and 3DS games as well. And there's a Super Nintendo game, American Super Nintendo game, Mystic Quest. They also had this ZX Spectrum computer complete in the box, which was really awesome, and the lady working there was nice enough to let me dig through this basket of game cassettes, and this was really awesome. None of these were accurately priced because they hadn't been taken out for quite some time, many years in fact, so many of the prices you see here are very old, but I did grab a couple of these games. So we have Knuckle Busters and Wolfan, and so many cool games there. Agent X2, a lot of this stuff I had never seen before. There's Alien Destroyer, so many ZX Spectrum games, Invasion, and yeah, some of these games looked amazing, and I really did want to grab some of these. There was so many RPGs and stuff like that. There's Mr. Wimpy, which was a fast food chain. There's Space Harrier, really cool to see that. And the Flintstones. And I really had to go on my initiative on what I thought might be a Spectrum exclusive, because I didn't want to grab any games that would also be on the Commodore 64, because that's my system of choice when it comes to retro computers, because that's what I had back in the day. So I just pretty much grabbed what I thought was exclusive. There's Outrun, which was a larger case variant, and I will say these games came in all different sized cases, and I did prefer the bigger cases because they had bigger artwork. There's V, which was a TV series back in the day. There's Night Hunter. There's Garfield. I love the tagline there. There's Mickey Mouse, and there's Make a Chip. So there's some instructional software here. There's a 007 game, A View to Kill, the computer game. That one looked really cool. But I did definitely have to figure out which ones of these I could probably find on the Commodore 64 and which ones were probably exclusive. There's a couple of demos there as well to the ZX Spectrum, because like I said, the Commodore is my system of choice. But if I get the chance, I will definitely come back here to grab some more games, because I definitely slipped up here. I wasn't too knowledgeable on exactly what I wanted to grab at the time, so there was some great games here that I may have missed out on, but I did grab some games, and you'll see that in a moment. There's Wizard's Lair. I picked out aside a couple of things that looked really interesting. There's Agent X. We also saw Agent X2 there as well, so that was pretty interesting. And here we have Demon's Revenge. Some of the artwork here is just fantastic. There's Xevious. Xevious is an amazing game, but I already have that on other systems, so I was exclusively looking for Spectrum exclusives. There's Octagon Squad, and here's Invisible Island as well, some adventure games amongst a lot. There's Transmuter, which looks to be a shoot-'em-up game, and there's Rent-A-Kill Rita. Now, like I said, the prices aren't completely accurate because these have been in storage for a very long time. There's Rock and Wrestle, which looks really rad. And here we have our Highlander, which has a horizontal cover, which is really cool, rather than the vertical. There's Mario Bros, which was awesome. I can't believe I didn't pick that up because I had it on other stuff. There's Batman. Now, again, I didn't pick that up because I had it on other things, but I didn't realize that that version was pretty much exclusive to the Spectrum, so that's the one I regret the most, not picking up Batman. So if I get the chance, I've got to go back there and pick that up. And there's chess there as well. And here was a mystery game which turned out to be The Hobbit. Now, I didn't pick this up because it might have been incomplete, I'm sure some Sinclair fans are screaming at their screen watching this, but I'm a Commodore guy, I didn't know enough about these games. But there's Rogue Trooper, a character from 2008D, which was very interesting. And that Batman game, I really regret not picking that up. I also regret not picking up the Mario Bros game. I should have picked that up as well. But, you know, this looks really awesome, and I did grab some awesome games. Hopefully Acorn Records will stick around this time, so I can check them out in the future. I got Alien Destroyer, Invasion, Rent-A-Kill Rita. Most of these were exclusives, by the way, I guessed correctly. Transmuter, and for the Amiga, Pushover. So let's check out what I picked up. So what did I pick up? Well, first of all, from Total Replay Insane Hostel, I picked up Thunderblade for the Sega Master System. Really cool to find Sega Master System games. This game looks pretty awesome. As you may know, this game series continued into the Mega Drive as Super Thunderblade, where it became more of an isometric shooter. This one, most of the gameplay is more scrolling shooter, but it does have kind of 3D style elements, a bit like Space Harrier, which is really cool. Glad to find this. It does have the cartridge in there, but otherwise no manual, but that's cool because it still plays regardless. So Thunderblade, glad to pick that up. And I also found, for the Mega Drive, Batman for the Sega Mega Drive. A platforming game, pretty cool to find this. Love Batman in any shape or form. No manual as well, but the cartridge is in there, and that's what counts because you can play it with that. And I still love these cases as well because they've got great box art and they keep the cartridge very safe. Next up, from Faceless Monkey in Truro, I found some more Master System games. First of all, we have Paperboy for the Sega Master System. This is a great version. Fantastic graphics on this version of the game. It looks absolutely amazing, and this is in great condition. The manual is in there, and so is a poster as well with all kinds of great stuff like that. So the manual's in there. You also get this, I say poster, it's actually a catalogue, but it's really cool to get that in there as well. And that has all kinds of different artwork for different games coming out and sort of stuff like that. So really cool. And of course the cartridge is in there as well. It's in fantastic condition. And I also picked up, again for the Sega Master System, from Faceless Monkey in Truro, Wonder Boy in Monsterland, in absolutely fantastic condition. Another platformer, a fantastic platformer at that. I really like the artwork on the front cover here as well. And this one likewise is in absolutely fantastic shape. Cartridge and manual there. Might not have even been used that much. And as well as the manual, which is included, which actually is that way around, you also have a little flyer of some kind, little promotional material in here as well, for all of the Master System game consoles and things like that. Pretty cool. Love these extras. Awesome inclusions for any retro package. Now I also picked up a very interesting item, and that is this multi-game cartridge for the Game Boy, and it is totally a bootleg, but you know, I had to pick this up because I'll never find something like this again, and it is really weird. I hardly ever find this sort of thing anyway. And it includes a bunch of games. It has Hero Gaiden 2, and then the second game on there is Ramna 1, 2, and 3. I think it says 1/2 space 3, so I imagine it's 1, 2, and 3. Third game on there is Dr. Mario. Fourth game is Space Invaders. Fifth game is Dragon Slayer. And then the sixth game is Pipe Dream Mario, which I think it means Pipe Dream. And then the seventh game is Crystal Quest. And then the eighth game is Quibbillion. So that's really cool. This does work. It doesn't work on my Retro Freak, but it does work on my Game Boy player, on my GameCube, which is awesome. And it has some Japanese exclusive games on there. Admittedly, they'll be in Japanese, but it means I have a copy of these, even if it is a very obvious bootleg. So cool to pick that up. And then I also picked up, for the Super Nintendo, Pop and Twinbee for the Super Nintendo. Awesome to pick that up. A fantastic shooter that I'm really glad to add to my collection. I've been looking for this one, so I'm really happy about that. Unboxed, but nevertheless, you know, it's the cartridge that counts, so I'm very happy to grab that. And I've been looking for this game for a while, so extremely excited about that. And another awesome game for the Super Nintendo, and that is Super Bomberman. It's like Bomberman, but this one's super. So awesome Bomberman game series. Love these games, and I'm really happy to add this one to my collection as well. And the last thing I got from that location in Faceless Monkey was this really awesome Capcom TV game plug and play. Look at this thing. The artwork on this thing is amazing, and the stick is really good, feels really good, the buttons are pretty good as well, and you know, it's pretty awesome. The artwork on this thing is amazing. You've got some Pac-Man artwork on that side there, and you've got some Boscodian artwork on that side. It also has a bunch of great games on here, such as Dig Dug as well. The only unfortunate thing is that it only has composite video out with mono audio, and it takes batteries with no mains power. But, you know, other than that, this was really cool to pick up. I love these sort of things. They're not just great to play with, but also look awesome on display as well. So there you go, the Namco TV game, I think I said Capcom earlier, the Namco TV game Plug and Play. And then finally, from Acorn Records, in Truro, I picked up a bunch of ZX Spectrum games. Hardly ever see this sort of thing out and about, but it was awesome to find these. So first thing I got, and I tried to pick exclusive games to the Spectrum, and 3 out of 4 of these were not on the Commodore 64, where I would have grabbed them normally. First one is Alien Destroyer, which I believe is some sort of Space Invaders style game. At least that's what I get from looking at it. And pretty cool. I only paid £2 each for all of these anyway, so glad to have that. And then this next game is Invasion, and this game is really awesome as well. It's actually a strategy game, which is awesome. So I'm thinking more of like the lines of Dune 2, but this preceded it, so that's really awesome to find that as well. The next game here is Rent-A-Kill Rita, which is some sort of isometric style platformer, and that looks absolutely amazing as well. And then finally we have Transmuter, which I believe is some sort of space shooter, and that's my jam, man. This is a scrolling space shooter, as you might be able to tell from the clips on the back there, and that looks really awesome. And the last thing I grabbed was an Amiga game, and it is Pushover for the Amiga. And this is a version that would have come free with a magazine, so that's really awesome. Floppy disk inside of here, the game special version for the Commodore Amiga, the Wild, the Weird and the Wicked pack, not to be sold separately. I actually have one of these as Bart versus the Space Mutants as well, another pack in that came free with a magazine, so that's really cool. And both floppy disks are in here as well, so that's awesome to grab that. I never see this sort of thing out in the wild, especially the shareware, the freeware versions as well. So there you go, those are my pickups for this episode of Game Hunting. If you liked the video, please leave a like or a comment to let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. And if you'd like to, you can also support me through Patreon or YouTube channel membership. Thank you for watching. I've been MVL, and I will catch you next time.